Listen closely. Because this isn't about becoming louder, it's about becoming unshakable. You want toxic people to fear you, not because you're cruel, not because you're loud, but because you're untouchable. See, toxic people operate on one thing: access. Access to your mind, access to your reactions, access to your peace. So the first rule, take it back. Reclaim your silence, reclaim your power. When they speak, don't flinch, don't explain, don't defend. You're not here to prove anything to anyone. You're here to enforce standards. Second, be unreadable. You don't owe the world your emotions. They want you rattled. They feed off your cracks. But when you stay still, when your eyes say nothing, they panic because they can't manipulate a mystery. Third, draw the line, not in sand, in steel. You don't tolerate disrespect. You don't entertain chaos. You cut it off calmly, clearly, without drama. Boundaries aren't up for debate, they're declarations. Fourth, don't mirror their madness. You control your energy like a professional. Let them throw tantrums, let them gossip, scream, provoke. You stay ice cold, because nothing scares a toxic person more than someone who won't break character. Fifth, you outclass them. They want war, you build empires. They talk behind backs, you move in silence. You don't compete in the mud, you outgrow it. Your success becomes their defeat, your growth their agony. Sixth, when you speak, speak with impact. No yelling, no arguing, just clear, calm, and final. Words like steel. You're not here to participate in noise. You're here to deliver truth that cuts. Seventh, stay unavailable. Don't be the one who always replies. Don't be the one they think they can reel back in. Toxic people hate losing access to what they once controlled. So disappear, not as a punishment, but as a power move. And last, let consequences do the talking. You don't need revenge. You need distance. You need to show them what life feels like without your presence, your support, your energy. That silence, that absence, it will echo louder than any fight ever could. So no, this isn't about becoming toxic. This is about becoming untouchable, focused, clear, cold when needed, unmoved by games, unshaken by noise. And when you master this, toxic people won't challenge you. They'll fear you because you're no longer available for anything beneath your peace. Get up, lock in, let them play checkers. You're here playing chess. Command respect without words. That's how the truly powerful operate. Not through noise, not through anger, not through theatrics, but through a quiet presence that makes people think twice before they speak. When you walk into a room, your silence should speak before your mouth does. Your posture should say you fear nothing. Your eyes should say you see everything. And your energy should say, I don't chase validation, I command it. See, the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest, because real strength doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't beg to be seen. It simply exists, and that's enough. People respect what they can't read, what they can't predict, what they can't manipulate. So when toxic people step into your space, give them nothing. No reaction, no explanation, no performance, just presence. And that presence should be so composed, so still, that it unsettles them. Because deep down, they're used to control. They're used to emotional leverage. They're used to poking and getting a rise. But when they push and nothing moves, they start to question themselves. They start to realize they have no power here. That's the goal. You don't meet fire with fire. You drown it in silence. You don't play their game. You make their game irrelevant. When you refuse to lower your frequency, when you hold your ground without needing to shout, you instantly shift the dynamic. Respect isn't taken. It's felt. It's felt when you say no without flinching. It's felt when you hold eye contact without fear. It's felt when you walk away without needing to defend your decision. Toxic people don't understand this kind of power because they rely on chaos. And chaos can't survive in the presence of calm. Your calm is your weapon. Your silence is your wall. Your discipline is your signal. You're not here to be played with. That's why the most dangerous person in the room isn't the loud one. It's the quiet one. The one who listens more than they speak. The one who watches everything. The one who chooses their words like a surgeon chooses a scalpel, not to harm randomly, but to strike precisely. Because when you're grounded, when you know who you are, there's no need to prove it. No need to respond to every jab. No need to react to every insult. Toxic people want your attention. They want your energy. They want you to get emotional. Because that's when they win. That's when they get access. Don't give them that luxury. Your respect is earned, not handed out. Your time is sacred, not freely offered. Your reactions are gold, and you don't spend gold on garbage. So from this point forward, train yourself. Train yourself to hold eye contact without blinking. Train yourself to speak last in a room full of noise. Train yourself to be still when they expect rage. Train yourself to keep your standards even when they test your limits. Because commanding respect without words means you operate from principle, not pressure. It means you know exactly who you are, and no one can shake that. And let's be clear, this isn't about arrogance. This isn't about ego. This is about self-control, and self-control is terrifying to people who have none. So hold the line. Don't explain your silence. Don't explain your standards. Let them feel it. Let them sit in it. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Because when someone can't figure you out, they can't play you. And when someone can't trigger you, they can't use you. That's when the game ends. That's when the power shifts. So become that person. Not the one who speaks first, but the one they all look at before they speak. Not the one who tries to dominate, but the one no one dares to cross. Not the one who chases attention, but the one whose absence is loud. This is how you command respect without saying a single word. And when you master that, they won't just respect you, they'll fear losing access to you, and that fear is the loudest silence you'll ever create. Be unreadable, because the moment they can read you, they can control you. The second they know what makes you tick, what gets under your skin, what makes you crack, they own you. That's how toxic people operate. They study you not to understand you, but to use you. Every word you overshare becomes a weapon. Every emotion you expose becomes a map to your weaknesses. And every reaction you give becomes a lever they pull at will. That's why you need to disappear in plain sight. Stay present, but unreadable. Show up, but give them nothing. Let them guess. Let them wonder. Let them exhaust themselves trying to figure you out. You don't owe anyone your emotions. You don't owe anyone access to your mind. Your thoughts, your feelings, your inner world, that's your territory. Guard it like a vault. Let no one in unless they've earned it with loyalty, with respect, and with consistency. The power of being unreadable isn't in becoming cold. It's in becoming controlled. It's in holding your emotional cards close to your chest. It's in staying grounded when they expect you to explode. It's in showing the same calm face whether you're thriving or breaking. Because that calm, that stillness, that's what unnerves them. That's what makes them back off. They don't fear rage. They don't fear tears. They fear neutrality. They fear not knowing where they stand with you. They fear that nothing they do moves you. That's the fear you want to plant in their mind. Because when you're unreadable, you're unpredictable. When you're unpredictable, you're uncontrollable. And when you're uncontrollable, you become dangerous in the best way. Start mastering the art of stillness, not silence, stillness. Speak when you need to, but never speak to be understood by those who don't deserve to understand you. Smile if you want to, but let that smile be mysterious. Not everyone needs to know what's behind it. Let your words be few, but powerful. Let your actions be rare, but precise. Don't explain yourself. Don't clarify your moves. Let them misinterpret. Let them assume. Because every time you explain, you hand them a page from your playbook. And if they hold enough pages, they'll start predicting your next move. That's how they gain ground. That's how they start the manipulation. So instead, let them wonder. Let them drown in the unknown. Let them overthink what you meant. Let them spiral over what you didn't say. And when they push you for answers, stay calm. When they try to provoke a reaction, stay composed. When they demand access to your thoughts, stay silent. There's a deep psychological power in being the person no one can read. People respect what they can't predict. People fear what they can't decode. And toxic people, they stay away from what they can't manipulate. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you've changed. Let them talk. You're not here to be emotionally available to people who would weaponize your vulnerability. You're not here to entertain chaos just to make others comfortable. You're not here to explain your every mood to people who don't deserve access to your truth. Being unreadable is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about protecting who you are. It's about choosing your peace over their approval, your power over their control. You have to understand, most people don't want the real you. They want access to your buttons so they can push them, so they can control the outcome, so they can keep you small, reactive, predictable. Take that away from them. Start training yourself to pause before responding, to breathe before reacting, to detach before diving into drama. Watch how quickly the dynamic shifts. Toxic people hate losing control. They panic when their tricks stop working. And that's exactly what you want, to stop being their puppet. Your emotions are sacred. Don't display them like public art. Let them be a private fire, burning strong but never wild. Let them fuel your decisions, not sabotage your peace. Being unreadable isn't weakness. It's a quiet form of warfare, a battle strategy rooted in discipline. And the more disciplined you become, the less they can touch you. Eventually, they'll stop trying to figure you out. They'll stop testing your boundaries. They'll stop assuming they know you because they'll realize they never really did. And by then, it's too late. You've already taken your power back. You've already stepped into control. You've already become what they fear most: unreachable, untouchable, unreadable. Dominate with boundaries, because without them, you're just a playground for toxic people. Boundaries are not walls. They're not emotional shutdowns. They're not selfish acts. Boundaries are lines of power. They tell the world what is allowed and, more importantly, what is not. They're how you teach people to treat you, and the moment you stop enforcing them, you give others permission to disrespect you. Toxic people hate boundaries. They test them. They mock them. They try to step over them quietly, slowly, and repeatedly. And if you don't stand firm the first time, they'll never stop. So you don't just set boundaries. You dominate with them. You don't ask for respect. You require it. You don't request space. You own it. You don't explain your limits. You enforce them like law. Clear, unapologetic, unshakable. If someone crosses your line, you don't argue. You don't plead. You don't beg them to understand. You act. You distance. You cut. You walk. You make the cost of crossing you too high to risk again. That's domination. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to make a scene. That's what toxic people want. They want drama. They want chaos. They want reactions. You don't give them any of that. You give them silence and separation. The two things they fear most. Every time you let something slide, you're training someone to disrespect you. Every time you allow a boundary to be violated without consequence, you're shrinking yourself for someone else's comfort. Stop doing that. Your peace is not a negotiation. Your values are not suggestions. Your time is not disposable. The people who truly respect you will adapt to your standards. The ones who don't were never meant to stay. And no, it doesn't matter if they're friends, family, coworkers, or even a partner. Toxic behavior doesn't get a free pass just because it comes from someone close. In fact, those closest to you should be held to even higher standards. Because if they really care, they'll respect your lines the moment they see them. You dominate by being consistent. If you say you won't tolerate disrespect, you don't make exceptions. If you say you're not available after a certain time, you don't reply just because it's convenient for them. If you say no, it stays no. Even if they get upset, guilt trip you, or try to twist your words. Toxic people thrive on inconsistency. They look for the weak points, the loopholes, the cracks in your resolve. Don't give them that window. Let your boundaries be like stone, immovable. Let your standards be like gravity, non-negotiable. And here's the truth. When you start enforcing boundaries, people will call you cold, distant, mean. They'll say you've changed. Let them talk. Let them call you whatever they need to feel better about losing control over you. Because you're not here to be liked. You're not here to make people comfortable at your expense. You're here to build a life that protects your peace, honors your worth, and repels anyone who can't handle that. You don't dominate by controlling others. You dominate by controlling what you allow. You can be kind and still have limits. You can be compassionate and still say no. You can love people and still walk away when they violate your values. That's strength. That's power. That's how you lead without force. So stop explaining your boundaries to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. Stop hoping toxic people will magically become better. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to draw the line. That moment is now. The sooner you set the boundary, the sooner you reclaim control. The sooner you enforce the boundary, the sooner they learn they can't play with you. The sooner you dominate with the boundary, the sooner they fear crossing you again. This isn't about being feared because you're cruel. It's about being respected because you're consistent, calm, clear, and completely unwilling to tolerate anything beneath your standard. From this moment forward, make this your mindset. If it drains you, it doesn't belong near you. If it disrespects you, it doesn't deserve your attention. If it crosses your line once, it doesn't get another chance to do it again. Your peace isn't just a luxury, it's your power. And boundaries are the armor that protect it. So wear that armor every day. Let it speak for you. Let it guard you. Let it remind the world that while you may be kind, you are not weak. You may be quiet, but you are not passive. You may be calm, but you are not to be tested. That's how you dominate, not with noise, not with threats, but with boundaries so solid no one even dares to question them. Master your energy. because once you control it, no one else can. Your energy is your currency, your fuel, your shield. And when you let it be dictated by other people's chaos, you lose everything. Your clarity, your peace, your control. Toxic people want exactly that. They want you drained, reactive, and off balance. Because the more uncentered you are, the easier you are to manipulate. You have to protect your energy like it's your life force. Because it is. Every time you argue with someone who thrives on conflict, you're feeding them. Every time you get emotional around someone who lives to provoke, you're handing them the keys to your power. That ends now. You don't need to respond to everything. Not every comment deserves your energy. Not every insult deserves a comeback. Not every invitation to chaos needs your presence. When you're grounded, you see it all clearly. You realize the real strength isn't in reacting, it's in choosing not to. Control doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from being unfazed by them. When you walk into a room, own your presence without adjusting your frequency. If they're loud, stay calm. If they're fake, stay real. If they're emotional, stay still. Because the second you match their energy, you become them. And you were never meant to be them. You were built to move differently, to respond with intention, to observe before acting, to lead from within, not from impulse. When you master your energy, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to outshine, outperform, or outtalk. Your calm becomes your signal. Your stillness becomes your edge. Toxic people rely on drama. It's the only language they speak. So what happens when you stop speaking it? When you go quiet? When you stop entertaining their games? When you stop giving them the emotional highs they're addicted to? They lose interest. They lose power. They lose you. And that's what you want. To be unavailable to anything that threatens your balance. To be immune to provocation. To respond like a professional, not a puppet. That's what makes people step back. That's what makes them think twice before trying you. This is why emotional discipline is the highest form of power. Because the one who remains composed in chaos controls the room. Not the one yelling, not the one crying, the one who sees through it all and doesn't move an inch. Don't give people the satisfaction of knowing they got to you. Don't let your facial expressions, your body language, or your tone betray your inner peace. That's sacred. That's yours. And not everyone deserves access to it. Start being selective with where your energy goes. If a conversation drains you, walk away. If a relationship confuses you more than it calms you, let it go. If someone constantly tries to shift your mood, protect it with distance. Because if you don't manage your energy, someone else will. And their goal won't be your peace, it'll be your submission. Train yourself to breathe before reacting, to pause before speaking, to think before responding. It's not weakness, it's strategy. Because while everyone else is caught in emotional traffic, you're moving in silence, staying clear, staying sharp. You are not here to be emotionally available to every situation. You are not here to prove your passion through outbursts. You are here to operate from power, calm, collected, and commanding. And that power comes from energy mastery. People will test you, they'll push your buttons, or they'll try to shake your core, but they only succeed if you allow it. Let them try. Let them wonder why nothing works. Let them exhaust themselves swinging at your peace while you don't even blink. Because there's nothing more threatening to a toxic person than someone who doesn't flinch, someone who doesn't react, someone who controls their own energy so precisely they become untouchable. Make that your standard. From this day forward, be a fortress. Calm on the outside, controlled on the inside. When emotions rise, let your discipline rise higher. When others get loud, lower your voice. When they try to pull you into their storm, stay rooted in your silence. You don't need chaos to be powerful. You don't need revenge to be victorious. You don't need noise to be respected. All you need is mastery of your energy, your mind, your focus. Because once you own that, no one owns you. Outclass, don't outfight, because real power doesn't scream, it rises. The moment you step into their chaos, you lose. The second you start playing their games, you shrink yourself to their level. And that's exactly what toxic people want. They don't want resolution. They want reaction. They want war. Because in war, logic disappears. In war, emotion takes over. And when emotion takes over, they win. But you're not here to fight. You're here to elevate. You don't fight to prove who you are. You become someone no one can touch. You rise so far above their level that even their loudest insult can't echo high enough to reach you. The strongest move isn't a punch. It's progress. It's silence. It's growth so obvious that your existence becomes a reminder of everything they're not. You don't beat toxic people by attacking them. You beat them by removing yourself from the equation entirely. Let them talk. let them stir, let them provoke. You stay focused, you stay building, you stay winning. That's how you outclass. Every minute spent trying to prove yourself to someone beneath your standard is a minute stolen from your own evolution. Stop wasting your power on people who thrive in emotional dirt. You're not here to throw mud. You're here to build stone. You're here to set a standard so high, so clear that it becomes obvious who doesn't belong near you. Success is your sharpest weapon. Composure is your strongest defense. When they scream, you speak with precision. When they scheme, you plan. When they try to drag you down, you rise so high that your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their smallness. You don't need revenge, you need results. Let them stay distracted while you stay disciplined. Let them talk circles while you move in straight lines. Let them waste time while you build legacy, because one day they'll look up and realize you're gone. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, energetically. You've outclassed them, not because you're better, but because you refuse to be pulled down. This is what toxic people don't understand. You're not angry. You're done. And there's a massive difference. You're done engaging. You're done explaining. You're done arguing. You're done trying to make a broken person understand your value. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to expose them. You don't need to tell the world who they are, because your evolution makes all the noise. When they try to attack your character, your integrity shows. When they try to minimize your worth, your success magnifies it. When they try to trigger you, your silence speaks louder than rage ever could. That's how you flip the game. That's how you dominate without lifting a finger. Never get caught trying to prove yourself to someone who already decided they won't see your worth. It's not your job to convince them. It's your job to leave them behind, quietly, powerfully, permanently. Your life isn't a courtroom. You don't owe anyone a defense. You don't need to justify your standards, your boundaries, your glow-up. Let your moves do the talking. Let your growth be the response. Let your presence or your absence do the work. The moment you stop fighting, you start ascending. You stop explaining and start executing. You stop chasing and start attracting. That's the shift. That's the power. That's how you outclass. Remember this, you were not made to be understood by everyone. You were made to be undeniable. And sometimes the most undeniable thing you can do is rise in silence, level up in peace, build in the dark, and let the results do what your words never could. There's no honor in wrestling with people who live in dysfunction. There's no victory in matching the mindset of someone you've already outgrown. Let them stay where they are. Let them repeat their patterns. Let them sit in the same story. You're not in that chapter anymore. You're not here to out-talk, out-shout, or out-argue. You're here to outclass, outlast, and outgrow. That's how kings move. That's how queens walk. Not in chaos, but in clarity. Not in battles, but in balance. So keep your energy clean. Keep your goals sharp. Keep your peace close. They'll try to pull you back into the mess, but you've seen what it costs. And now, you choose better. You rise higher. You speak less. You deliver more. Outclass. Every single time. Use precision words, because every sentence you speak is either a weapon or a weakness. When you speak, it should hit like a scalpel. Clean, sharp, and final. No extra fluff. No wasted breath. No emotional leakage. Just words that cut through noise and leave no room for misunderstanding. That's the mark of power. That's the mark of someone in full control. Toxic people thrive on confusion. They twist vague words. They distort emotional outbursts. They thrive when you ramble, when you stumble, when you speak without clarity. It gives them room to attack, to manipulate, to flip the script. And if you're not intentional with your language, you become easy to disarm. That's why precision is everything. You don't speak to be heard, you speak to make impact. You don't talk to fill silence. You talk when your words matter. You choose timing, tone, and content like a master strategist. Every word should have weight. Every sentence should be a decision. Train yourself to be deliberate, to pause before you speak, to think while others rush. Let them get loud. Let them flood the room with noise. You stay calm. You stay clear. You speak when it matters. And when you do, everyone listens. Because you've taught them, when you talk, something shifts. This isn't about sounding smart. It's not about using big words. It's about speaking with power, and that power comes from clarity. It comes from saying what you mean and meaning what you say. No backpedaling, no sugarcoating, no unnecessary emotion, just truth delivered with precision. You say no and it's final, not maybe. Not I'm not sure. Not I'll think about it. You don't leave doors half open for people to crawl back through. You don't leave space for interpretation. You don't give toxic people the fuel they're looking for. They want weakness in your tone, doubt in your voice, rambling in your defense. Take that away from them. Be concise. Be calm. Be bold. If you're done, say I'm done. If you need space, say this conversation is over. If someone disrespects you, say, don't ever speak to me like that again. Not emotionally, not aggressively, but exactly. Because people remember clarity. People remember boundaries that are spoken with certainty. People remember when you say little, but it lands like thunder. And when you do speak, you don't repeat yourself. You say it once. You say it right. And then you let the silence work for you. Silence is the second half of precision. It reinforces your words. It lets the message settle. It shows confidence. People who ramble after a strong statement ruin it. They dilute their own power. Don't do that. Say it. Then stop. Deliver. Then observe. Let them respond how they want, but you don't move. You don't chase. You don't explain. You already said what you needed to say, because words should never be thrown around like loose change. They should be spent like gold. The more you speak with intention, the more people take you seriously. You'll notice it. They'll stop interrupting. They'll stop testing. They'll start choosing their words more carefully around you. That's not by accident. That's the result of you establishing verbal dominance without ever raising your voice. Understand this, not everyone deserves your words. Some people are so toxic that silence is your best response. Not because you have nothing to say, but because they're not worth your energy. Precision includes knowing when not to speak at all. Words have energy, they carry weight, and when you use them recklessly, you leak power, you give away control, you leave yourself open to attack. So sharpen your speech, make it clean, make it strong, make it rare. Practice responding to disrespect without emotion. Practice ending conversations without drama. Practice stating your needs without over-explaining. The goal is to speak like someone who doesn't need to convince anyone, because truth, when spoken clearly, never begs. Toxic people fear the ones who speak like this, because there's no room for games, no space for confusion, no leverage for manipulation. You become unreadable, untouchable, and unmistakably in control. And when your words become weapons of clarity, not chaos, people stop testing you. They start listening. They start watching what they say, because now they know what it means when you speak. You don't waste energy. You don't argue with fools. You don't fight battles that don't deserve your voice. You speak with purpose. You speak with power. You speak only when it counts. Use precision words and let the rest stay silent. Stay unavailable, because the more accessible you are, the less they value you. Toxic people crave access, not to support you, not to love you, but to control you, to test you, to drain you. The more you respond, the more they push. The more you explain, the more they twist. The more you show up for them, the more they disappear when you need them. That's how they work. That's how they win. But you take that power away the moment you stop being easy to reach. Being unavailable is not about being rude. It's not about shutting people out. It's about protecting your energy from those who only show up to subtract from it. It's about understanding your worth to the point where not everyone deserves access to you. The more they can reach you, the more they think they own you. And the more they think they own you, the less